Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of rawradianthealth.com, and I'm Natasha St. Michael, and thank you so much for joining me. So today's Thursday, and this week I received quite a few requests to talk about tips I can give for acid reflux and indigestion and sour stomach. So today I'm going to give you guys my 5 tips on how to get rid of that acid reflux and how to have a healthy digestive system. No more indigestion, heartburn, that kind of stuff. Okay, so because it is easy to cure, you don't need to be taking all that medication for it, and it is something that you have to take seriously because it can really ruin the inside of your stomach, the lining of your stomach, if it gets too acidic. So you want to be able to change things in your diet and in your lifestyle in order to not have to rely on medication and to get better. And it is possible. I know so many people that have made some changes in their diet and lifestyle and have cured acid reflux without having to take medication, nothing. So my number 1 tip would be, there are certain foods obviously to avoid. And if you're on a cooked food diet, foods that you should be avoiding are coffee, chocolate, cooked tomatoes. I find raw tomatoes are not such an issue, but cooked tomatoes definitely. What else would there be? Soda is a bad one. Foods that are cooked in oils, that's a huge one. Is try your best not to cook oils. If you need to be adding oils into your food, you add them in later. Like, let's say you're making a sauce or you're making a soup. Instead of cooking the food in oil and heating up that oil and adding it into cooked foods while it's cooking, put it in afterwards when you're about to serve it. This way, it really will lower your incidence of acid reflux. In fact, you might not even have a reaction to it, whereas just cooking those oils can really cause a lot of problems. So do avoid those trigger foods and listen to your body and how it reacts to your meals. Like if you feel bad afterwards and you start feeling like it's coming up, there's something in your food that's triggering it. The second tip I've got is to be more aware of food combining, okay? Especially for those of you out there that are eating cooked foods, okay? The number 1 rule with food combining with cooked foods is not to mix starches with proteins. And that means like starches like potatoes and rice and pasta, not to be mixing those with proteins, which is meat, fish, cheese. Okay, so a lot of times people have like rice and fish, or meat and potatoes, or pasta and cheese, or bread and cheese. These are terrible food combinations. If you've got acid reflux or any kind of issues of indigestion, this a lot of times is just coming from combining and mixing these foods. Best to have your starches on their own or with vegetables. Same thing goes with the meats and the fish and the cheese. Either have it on its own or mix it with some vegetables, but don't have the rice and the fish and the meat and potatoes. More like have meat and some steamed vegetables, or meat and some salad, cheese and salad, or have cheese on its own, or have pasta on its own, not with cheese or meat, but have it with a tomato sauce, stuff like that. That will really help. But even so, with the pasta, I would just avoid it completely because that tomato sauce really does trigger a lot of acid reflux. Next tip would be, tip number 3, would be to increase your fruits and your vegetables. And before I just go on, I just want to mention, when someone's on a raw food diet, they don't have to worry so much about food combining. The only thing that I would stress, if you do feel like you're having some indigestion or some reactions to your food, is the only food combining rule that I find is really pertinent is just not mixing your fruit with other foods. Have fruit on its own. It can be mixed with greens, like green leafy vegetables, but don't ever have fruit at the end of a meal. Have it more at the beginning of the meal. Okay, and that's pretty much the only big rule you have to really worry about with the raw food diet. On to tip number 3, which is increasing fruits and vegetables in your diet because of the fiber, and you need the fiber to avoid constipation. A lot of times people have indigestion and acid reflux due to constipation, more so than what they're putting into their body. It's just that their body is their digestive system is clogged up. It's kind of like, imagine pipes, right? Like your pipes in your bathroom. If underneath your toilet those pipes get clogged, everything comes back up. It's the same thing in our digestive tract. Our digestion starts actually in our mouth, and the digestive tract goes all the way down through to your anus. And so if food and old waste matter is all clogged up in your digestive tract, it's going to come up in your stomach and then up your throat and to your mouth. So main thing is that a lot of times just by having more fiber in your diet and more water and exercising every single day, going for a minimum of 45-minute walk every single day, this will help to get your digestive system working properly, functioning properly, and eliminating food at a better rate, and therefore will help eliminate that acid reflux. I mean, how many times do I hear how people say, they wake up first thing in the morning and they've got terrible acid reflux, but the moment they go to the bathroom and they have a bowel movement, afterwards they feel fine, right? And it's, a lot of times they just think it's their breakfast that made them feel better, but no, it's that they're able to move that waste out of them, and it's no longer pushing the acids and the gases and putting pressure and moving everything back up, but it's taking it out. Okay, so next tip is tip number 4, which would be, tip number 4 is not to go to sleep with food in your stomach. Huge one, huge. Too many people eat and then they go to bed. Or even worse, they eat and then they lie down. Okay, 3 hours before, minimum, before you go to sleep, you should stop eating. 3 hours. And after you have your dinner, never ever go and lie down afterwards. You either sit up straight, or even better, you get up and you move around. You wash those dishes, you clean up, tidy up around the house, play with the kids, go outside and take an evening walk, move around. Be active after your meal, because if you eat and then you go and lie down on the couch and watch television before you go to bed, or you just go straight to bed and you're lying down, you're reading, that food is just sitting in your stomach. You need to get up and move around so that gravity can pull it out of the stomach and get it digesting and moving through your intestines, so that by the time you go to bed, no food is in the stomach, but it's being digested and assimilated in the intestines, and by the morning you're going to feel good and refreshed. Super important. And that leads me to the last tip of the day, which is, this is for people on a cooked food diet and also on a raw food diet, because I do here and there hear from people that are getting into raw foods and they're still dealing with some indigestion. And what I really suggest to everyone and anyone that's dealing with acid reflux and indigestion, heartburn, all that, is to get on a much lower fat diet, and that is raw food diet included. Okay, so if you're on a raw food diet, decrease the amount of fats you're having in your diet, decrease the amount of oils, decrease the amount of nuts and seeds, and see what happens. That should really do the trick. And if you're on a cooked food diet, really decrease the fats, because you will notice that fats are usually the one thing that really kind of triggers any kind of digestive upset. Okay, so these are my tips of the day. And if you are interested in the raw food diet and you want to get rid of that acid reflux, join us for the 7-day raw food challenge, and it's starting May 24th. Go to my website at www.rawradianthealth.com, click on raw food challenge, and for 1 week you'll do 100% raw food diet. You get the recipes, menu planner, daily videos, forum, everything. Okay, and it's a great way to try out the raw food diet and see how it goes and get support all the way. I wish you guys a fabulous day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.